Welcome back, ladies and gents. RPG a Day, Day 15. Your favorite convention module or otherwise one shot. This took me a second to think about, and then I was like, oh, of course. I've probably talked about this on the channel before, but you may not have heard it. And I'm going to try to ramble through this as fast as I can and not tell super tons of details. So I was in a convention in Rolla, Missouri. I'm trying to remember the name of the convention. I think it's still going, but I can't remember the name. And this would have been in the late 1990s, maybe early 2000s. Probably late 1990s. I joined. I signed up for a session of what is it? Unknown Army? Unknown Armies. Yeah, I think that's the system. Unknown Armies that said it had a disclaimer that you had to be mature. So I signed up for that. We went off in this big old business convention room with big old plushy chairs, those brown leather ones with all the little rivets on them. Anyways, and closed the door. And the GM uh, gave us our pre-gens, and it was weird because I was reading my background information particularly longer than anybody else, I feel like. And it was I was playing a college student who went to do some participate in some psychology or sociology study for those class credit things, and it was about prison stuff, prison behavior, and stuff like that. And I was being yelled at, and I was like, "Man, this isn't worth it." And I got hit by the guard, like actually punched in the gut by the guard with the billy club, and by the person pretending to be the guard, who then threw me into a closet. And later brought opened the door and shoved in two guys. And if you are familiar with Shawshank Redemption, these two guys were basically the sisters. And what would happen to Angie Duvall in that movie happened to my character. This is all background that I'm reading on my character sheet. And when we get into play, and I don't remember what the actual starting event for play is, but those two people, those two characters that were sister characters, were players at the table. Those people had been handed those character sheets, and we get through it all, and what it ends up being is he was inspired by the actual prison study that I think was happening in Yale. This is like in the 80s or something, where stuff just went off the rails, right? Like you had like housewives who had signed up to be like the prison guard, like really stepping into the role and losing sense of themselves and abusing the people who were supposed to be prisoners. And basically the guy said, what if this took place in a place where magic is real? And so the magic warped actual reality and changed it into a prison. Now the difference here was that my character had recently showed up. Every now and then he would hand out little note cards or whatever to everyone, except for me. I kept asking him, like, when do I get one? When do I get one? Well, what was going on was these other people had lost track of their lives. The magic had completely changed things. And he was giving them note cards that were giving them more backstory and more lead up, and kind of breaking through to them the fact that this isn't real. They have another life, blah, blah, blah. And so it was opening their eyes to this. It was super awesome. There was a tiny little bit of combat near the end, if I remember right. Um, and it was just really cool. And the two guys who played the sister characters played them so well. I had to go up and congratulate them on how well they had played those characters. And I was literally afraid to talk to them. I was literally afraid to talk to them. And since I was working with convention stuff up in a different town, I made sure I got a hold of that GM's contact information and was like, "We want you to come up." We weren't that far away. I was like, "We want you to come up and run games at our convention because you're really good." He's like, "I'm not that good. I hardly did anything. I give you a few prompts and I just sit back and I'm quiet." I'm like, "Well, it works." Like you told, so also props to the players, right? If the players had handled everything like they were all thumbs, then maybe it wouldn't have gone good well. But um, that whole experience was really cool, really exciting, really horrifying for my character, mind you. But I felt it, right? It's just like when you go through a movie, you're watching a movie or you're reading a book, right? And it's an exciting scene and you're excited. It's a sad scene and you're sad. It's a scared scene and you're scared, right? That just means it was done really well. This one was done really well with multiple authors, right? So that was a pretty amazing session. I've never played Unknown Armies again, and I couldn't tell you one thing about the mechanics. But and you could hardly see any mechanics in the game, anyways. It was mostly just character play. Talk to you guys later.